Hello everybody watching on YouTube, and welcome back after a nearly 2 month long hiatus. We are finally back for Season 3 in NNSCRA Marvel Studios Cup Series. I am Levi McIntyre, the voice of the NNSCRA Marvel Studios Cup Series. First off to say, I hope that you enjoyed that brand new intro we're going to have for this season. Took me some time to work on. But without further ado, we are here for the first of 4 events in this week's Daytona Speedweek on Thanksgiving week. Here at Daytona, it is the Budweiser Shootout, where all the pole sitters who are back for Season 3 are going to go at it in a 16-lap shootout here at Daytona. Now, let's take a look at the starting lineup for this race. Starting on the front row, Anthony McCreary got the selection to start on the pole. Next to him is Dylan Young. Row 2 will be Tim Fiegel and Joshua Sekuli. Row 3, Chris Dollerton and Kyle Matthews. Row 4, Rafael LeDuc and Seth Cole. Row 5, Phil Parker, Dorian Facepuncher. Row 6, Benjamin Miles, Trent Dunham. Row 7, Joshua Collard, Dylan Jacobs, formerly known as Nelson Thornhill. Row 8 is P.J. Williams, Andrew Rich. Row 9, Emmanuel Hardnett, Sean Galligan. And then row 10, David Rivera and James Qualls. And then the last row is James Shelley and Charles Sanford. Well, anyways, let's go ahead and get the command to fire engines for this 16-lap shootout, the Budweiser Shootout, at Daytona to kick off Thanksgiving week and Daytona Speedweek.
Drivers, start your engines!
And there you have it. Apologize. So, an interesting, couple of interesting cosmetic things for this season as far as some of the paint schemes go. Anthony McCreary actually moves away from Red Bull Racing, the team he'd been with for quite a while since Walmart Cup Series days, to move on to Cole McCreary Motorsports. He and Seth Cole both in this field. They're teammates out of that same team of Cole McCreary Motorsports. And there you see McCreary in that 61 Chevy. I believe that's Dishonored 2, I believe that's what it is. And we're actually going to go to helicopter view to get a better look. And then you got Tim Fiegel back in the 8, but with another paint scheme, a new paint scheme. I believe that is the Diet Mountain Dew number 8. Joshua Sekuli in the 79, who is another new driver for Furniture Row Racing in a 5-hour energy car. And then we see the 55 of Benjamin Miles racing for Michael Waltrip Racing in the Dodge Dart number 55 Napa Auto Parts car. P.J. Williams in the number 89 for Joe Gibbs Racing, running a secondary paint scheme, the MB&A Toyota. And then you got Andrew Rich, the other guy for Michael Waltrip Racing, running his version of the Napa Auto Parts number 56. And then you got James Shelley, who's another Furniture Row Racing newcomer in a Monster Energy car. I forget what flavor it is. Excuse me. I apologize again, but pace car's in the pit road, which means it's time to boogity, 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 kick off Speed Week. Apologize again, but Dylan Young led that lap, and now he's got a big gap separating himself from the rest of the pack. But you can tell that pack is going to get to the 2 car very fast, or get up to him real fast, real quickly. But anyways, Chris Dollerton, Dylan Young's teammate out of Young Motorsports, and actually another one, Phil Parker, who moves from the number 4 to the number 12, as Kev Shearer has taken a hiatus from the series. So Phil Parker stepping into the number 12 this season. I think the only Young Motorsports driver that's not in this field is JT Bryant in the 22. Everyone else is in this field. Dylan Young, Chris Dollerton, Phil Parker, and Dorian Facepuncher. Meanwhile, battle for the lead as here comes Kyle Matthews in that number 09 Beast Chevy from Retro Racing Enterprises. As this season, the Retro Racing Enterprise lineup features Kyle Matthews in the 09, Jessica Sheldon, the owner, in the 02, Charles Sanford in the 03, and James Qualls in the 70. Oh, and we got a crash! And it's a multi-car incident, 5 cars. Make that 7. 7-car crash that ends up taking out quite a lot of guys. Trent Dunham, David Rivera, Andrew Rich, Joshua Sekuli, James Qualls, Dorian Facepuncher, and Charles Sanford. So our first caution of the night comes out on lap 3 going into lap 4. And Kyle Matthews was the leader at the line. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at a replay of what brought the caution out for the first time tonight here at the Budweiser Shootout at Daytona. Well, here's a look at what happened. It looks like right there, David Rivera just ran Trent Dunham out of room. That's what started a bit of a squabble there. And then it looked like as if the 79 of Joshua Sekuli comes down into the 6 of David Rivera, the defending series champion, and this is what gets the 62, the 1, the 03, and the 70 caught up and damaged in some way, shape, or form. Oh, and I accidentally hit that button again. No, it was actually all that contact was a result of the 6 just coming up and running the 1 out of room, and as a result collects the 79. But now we're about to see how Rivera gets spun. Oh, he gets hit by James Shelley as a bit of a payback because the 6 just, after he caused that wreck, just put the 71 down below the yellow line, down to the apron, and Shelley didn't like that, and so came up and turned the 6 around, and in the end, also takes out the 56 of Andrew Rich, who I think he, along with Charles Sanford and Trent Dunham, got the worst end of the deal out of this whole situation. So, controversy already begun this season, and we're not even 10 laps into the Bud Shootout. So, interesting development here. We'll see what happens from here on out, but let's go ahead and take you to the restart here at Daytona. Well, as a result of that wreck, 3 cars are out of the race, and they're the 3 cars I suspected would be out as they took the worst end of that controversial wreck. Charles Sanford, Andrew Rich, and Trent Dunham, as all 3 of those cars are out, so we're down to 19 out of 22 in the field. But we're nearing the halfway point. When we come across the line 2 more times, we will have 8 laps left in the Budweiser Shootout, but excuse me. Let's take a look and see how we're going to line up. So, Kyle Matthews, still your leader. 2nd is Dylan Young. 3rd is Benjamin Miles. 4th, Joshua Collard. 5th is PJ Williams. 6th is Dylan Jacobs. 7th, Phil Parker. 8th, Emmanuel Hartnett. 9th, Tim Fiegel. 10th, Chris Dollerton. 11th is Seth Cole, 12th is Anthony McCreary, so those 2 are going to be together on this restart. 13th, Raphael LeDuc. 14th, Sean Galligan. 15th, James Shelley. 16th, James Qualls. 17th, Joshua Sekuli. 18th, David Rivera. And then 19th, Dorian Facepuncher. Sorry. So yeah, we're getting set to go back racing here in the Budweiser Shootout at Daytona. As we are approaching pit road. And now at the restart zone, and we are back underway. And already looks like we're going to have a fight for the lead. Dylan Young wanted to retake the lead he had early over the 09, and now here comes a couple Dodge Darts, but for different teams. You got Benjamin Miles in the 55 and Joshua Collard in the 43, followed by Dylan Jacobs in the 78 Furniture Row Toyota. Oh, and we have a crash! Benjamin Miles gets turned. And somehow no major damage for anybody, although maybe PJ Williams got a bit of a hit on the front end. Joshua Collard actually took the worst of that, as his hood is completely buckled. And Dylan Young pulled away with a big lead. So Dylan Young retakes the top spot after an incident happened. I didn't see exactly what had happened there. I just saw the 55 get turned around going into turn 3. So, depending on what happens, looks like Joshua Collard's going to be the one that's going to end up being completely off the pace now. Because look at his hood, it's completely crushed. But let's go ahead and take a look at the replay to find out what exactly happened to bring out the caution for the second time here in the Budweiser Shootout. Well, here's a look at what happened. So we're going down the backstretch, and it's almost 3 wide, nearly 4 wide, as there you see Dylan Jacobs going to try and attempt 4 wide. And then right here, it just looks like Benjamin Miles just had no idea that the 09 of Kyle Matthews was right there, and so he ended up turning up in front of the 09, just ran him out of room, and as a result, turns the 55 around into the outside wall. And PJ Williams, I guess he actually didn't get involved. He just had to slow up a lot to keep from hitting the 55. In fact, the only hits that were given in that wreck, Kyle Matthews got up into the wall. But we're actually going to go to the TV1 cam to see how did Joshua Collard end up with the buckled up hood. Right there, the contact hit, that was actually a big hit from Collard into Miles, and then Dylan Jacobs got a tiny hit on the right front fender, but I think he'll still be good to go to keep going and try and win this thing. But there, Dylan Young managed to come through unscathed. But with that being said, let's go ahead and take you to the restart here at Daytona in the Budweiser Shootout. Well, Joshua Collard surprisingly not out of the race, though he's going to have no hood. Let's double check. Yeah, he has no hood, so he's going to be the one guy in the field now that's going to be not up to speed. So tough break for the 43 of Joshua Collard. But anyways, when we get back to racing, it'll be 4 laps to go here in the Budweiser Shootout. Hopefully we can finish this race out under green. But Dylan Young is your leader. Second is Dylan Jacobs. Third is Phil Parker. Fourth, Tim Fiegel. Fifth, Chris Dollarton. Sixth is Rafael LeDuc. Seventh, Seth Cole. Eighth, Anthony McCreary. Ninth, James Shelley. 10th, Sean Galligan. And then 11th, we have James Qualls. 12th, Dorian Facepuncher. Excuse me. 13th, David Rivera. 14th, Joshua Sekuli. 15th is Kyle Matthews. 16th, Emmanuel Hartnett. 17th, PJ Williams. 18th, Benjamin Miles. And then 19th is Joshua Collard. As still the only 3 cars out of the race are Charles Sanford, Andrew Rich, and Trent Dunham. After the first caution. as we are awaiting the pace car to pull into pit road and see if we can finish this race out under green and hope we see a really good finish. Pace car into pit road, now in the restart zone, and we are back in Dylan Young with a phenomenal jump, or maybe it was a jump for the 2 or the 78 because he has a bit of minor damage on that right front fender. Didn't quite get going, but he's now getting back up to speed. But now he's about to be under attack from Phil Parker, who's now moving into second. Now Tim Fiegel in that Diet Mountain Dew number 8 Chevy is now trying to follow suit and go to second, or at the very least third at the moment. And Rafael LeDuc, who has not really been up here at the front all race long, is now trying to push Tim Fiegel up through the field, as Phil Parker nearly caused a wreck by coming down in front of the 8 car and nearly turning him around. And now LeDuc going to make it 3 wide for second underneath of Fiegel and Parker, as now it's 3 to go. Time starting to run out for these drivers. They need to get to the 2 car. Otherwise, the 2, he's just going to be mirror driving and trying to do all he can to hold off these groups of cars. As now LeDuc into second, Dollarton in third. So we got a Ford 1, 2, 3, 2 from Young Motorsports, 1 from Roush Racing. And now the 2 good friends and teammates out of Cole McCrory Motorsports, Seth Cole and Anthony McCrory, were working together, but now the 98 going to leave the 61 on the high side, but now tries to come back down, and he does. So now they're back together, working as a tandem, but now the 98 makes a crossover move. Meanwhile, Rafael LeDuc is now reeling into the back bumper of the 2 of Dylan Young. So who knows what's going to happen with this. Battle may be going on for third now. Seth Cole underneath of the 23 of Chris Dollarton. As right now, Dylan Young, he's just been hard to get to and pass. But we'll see if that changes, because we are coming to the white flag. White flag is out here in the Budweiser Shootout. And I keep seeing back here the flag wave. I'm just seeing things. But anyways, final lap. Rafael LeDuc has one final shot. Same with Seth Cole, and now the Seth Cole machine working on the back bumper of the 98 now is going to pull out to go for second. I think that may have been the final nail in the coffin of this race for anybody to... Well, maybe not. If the 99, I don't know if he's going to be able to get to him in time. But now we're coming out of turn number 4 for the final time this race. Coming to take the checkered flag. Way to kick off Season 3. Dylan Young wins the Budweiser Shootout at Daytona. What a dominating performance by the 2 of Dylan Young. Led early on, had a bit of a hiccup during the midway portion of the race. And now came back after avoiding a couple wrecks and wins this race. But let's look at the rest of the top 10. You had Rafael LeDuc finish second. Third was Seth Cole. Fourth, James Shelley. And then fifth was Tim Fiegel. And then the rest of the top 10 was Chris Dollarton, Dylan Jacobs, Phil Parker, Anthony McCrory, Sean Galligan. And the rest of the cars that finished were Emmanuel Hartnett, Kyle Matthews, PJ Williams, Benjamin Miles, Dorian Facepuncher, James Qualls, David Rivera, Joshua Sekuli, and Joshua Collard. Then the only 3 cars out of the race again, Charles Sanford, Andrew Rich, and Trent Dunham. So that does it for our coverage here today for the first race of Season 3 in the Marvel Studios Cup Series. Thank you guys for watching. Tomorrow will be Daytona 500 Pole Day to determine who will start in the front row for the Daytona 500. Thank you guys for watching. Peace out, and I'll see you tomorrow.